Hi, everybody. It's Mackenzie Patel, the CEO and co-founder of Hashbasis, a crypto-native accounting firm based in San Francisco. So this video is part of an article that we recently released about Form 8300, which is a form that the IRS and FinCEN jointly put out, which says that anytime a person, whether that's an individual or a business in the US, receives $10,000 or more in cash, that this activity has to be reported via Form 8300. Now, we came to this in the context of digital assets since per the infrastructure bill back in 2021, the definition of cash as relates to Form 8300 was expanded to include digital assets as well. Now, as of today, January 8th, 2024, the IRS and FinCEN still have not released updated guidance on how to actually incorporate digital asset activity into Form 8300, since, as we'll see in this video, there's no place to actually record or indicate that you received $10,000 or more worth of digital assets. It only has the conventional methods of payment like cash, traveler's check, bank draft, money order, cashier's check, etc. So there will be a part 2 to this video once the IRS and FinCEN come out with the updated Form 8300 and also the updated guidance as relates to those crypto transactions. But for now, I just wanted to walk through how to actually file Form 8300 as it stands today. So not if you receive digital assets, since we don't have to do that yet until the IRS comes out with guidance. But let's say you received $10,000 worth of cash from somebody else, this is how you would report that today. And I expect that the due processes will be very similar. I think that there's just going to be an updated Form 8300 and maybe some other guidance that's just specific to digital assets. So, okay, here's how you do it. First off, you need to go to this website right here. It's the BSA e-filing system. BSA stands for Bank Secrecy Act, and it's part of FinCEN, or the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Now, FinCEN and IRS, they both want to collect this information. So Form 8300 is basically the same between the two. But the FinCEN uses it to fight and track money laundering and things of that nature. So I guess I should back up. The whole point of this form is that the IRS can track cash transactions. If you make wire payments or any type of electronic payment like Zelle or Venmo, you don't have to use this form because there's already an electronic record behind that. And all the banks in the US are already subject to different regulations under the Bank Secrecy Act. So the FinCEN already has all that like wire information or electronic payment information. So with Form 8300, they want to track cash, since you can't really track that the way you could like banking, like bank wires. So when you go to this website, it looks kind of scary, but really just have to click agree and continue. And you had to create an account. So I've already created an account, but if you haven't, you just go to create an account and you just set it up with the entity that you're filing under. So also with Form 8300, the burden of filing is on the person, which again is an individual or an entity that is receiving the cash in the course of their ordinary trade or business. So if you're just an individual and you don't have any business, but someone like your friend pays you $10,000 so they can buy your car, you don't have to report that because it's not your trade or business. Now, if you were an individual, but you were in the trade or business of selling used cars and people paid you cash, then yeah, that would constitute a trade or business and you would have to file. So just wanted to clear that up. It has to be within the trade or business. So when you sign in, it's going to bring you to this page right here. And so if you want to file Form 8300, you just click File Now. And a couple different things to note here. So you first have to scroll down to where it says Download BSA Report, and you'd have to click Download here. Now, discrete is where you just download one Form 8300. Batch, I think, has multiple. And so the idea is that you download this and you fill it out, and then you upload the completed form, and you also have a PIN number. And so if you're wondering what is my PIN, the BSA, this website just basically gives it to you, and you have to click enter your PIN, and then you would submit it as part of your filing. So when you download it, so the weird thing about this is that this only opens in Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Reader. And so I tried so long to get this to work because I would download it and then open it in browser, but it was giving me a bunch of errors. So basically when you download the form, if you don't already have Adobe as your default reader, you're going to right click on the file and then select open in Adobe. And so this is what it looks like when you get the form to actually open. And so there's different areas that are highlighted in yellow, which are required. And then you can also fill in any of the different boxes right here. So it gives you instructions throughout the form. So like filing name, enter a descriptive name. This is just whatever you want to name this. Maybe it's the person that paid you the cash. Submission type, you can either select new or amend a prior submission. And then BSA identifier. I'm not quite sure what that is yet. I guess we'll see once we go through this. And then you have to sign with your pen to make sure that you've actually stamped it with your pen. But let's look down at the actual file here. So if let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. Okay, perfect. All right, so you first have to check, is this amending a prior report? So if you've already submitted Form 8300, but information was wrong on it, you can always amend. And then another important piece is a suspicious transaction. So whether it was $10,000 or more or $10,000 or less, if it's a suspicious transaction, you're gonna have to go ahead and check this box here. But let's say it's just a normal, a normal transaction, not suspicious. And for our example here, we're saying that my company, Hashbasis, received a $10,000 cash payment from another company. Let's say one of our customers that's paying us for our accounting services. And so a couple things to note here. You have to report cash payments, one, if they came from an individual, or two, if they came from a business, again, in the ordinary or in the course of your trade or business. And so part one here, identity of individual from whom cash was received. The IRS and FinCEN want to know, okay, who actually paid you? And it's quite onerous. They want to know this person's first name, last name, their social security number, date of birth, their address, and you also have to verify their identity. So for example, you have to check their passport, driver's license, and then put the number in here as well, and then also say what state it was issued by. Now, when I called the IRS up, they said it doesn't matter if you receive $10,000 from someone who's US-based or someone who's foreign-based. And so either way, you would have to report that here. Now, a big question that I had was, well, what if a company is paying me? So for example, when a company pays me to do accounting services, what do I actually put here? But when I called the IRS, they said the person who actually initiated or basically paid you the cash, you have to get their information, even if they're actually an employee or working for or on behalf of a company. So whoever gave me the cash, I'm going to have to put all their information in here. Now, since they're doing this transaction on behalf of a company, this is where I'd have to fill out this section here. So I'd have to put in, for example, the employee that actually physically handed me the cash, and then I would have to put in the business information. And so I'd have to put the business's name, I'd have to put their EIN, and then the business address and all this information here. And also, you'd have to verify the business EIN as well. So for example, when a business is issued an EIN, the IRS typically sends a confirmation letter or notice, and you'd have to input this information here. So essentially, the IRS just wants to know all the information about who actually paid you the cash, and then if they were working for a company, what's all the company's information. So that's part one and part two. Part three actually describes the nature of the transaction in which you're receiving $10,000 or more in cash. So you put the date the cash was received, the total amount received. There's also different requirements if cash was received in more than one payment. So let's say it was paid on an installment plan. You would eventually have to report that once the total payments exceeded $10,000. Won't really get into that, but just know that that is a requirement. And then you have to indicate how you received it. Was it actually like dollar bills? Was it foreign bills? Was it a cashier's check, money order, bank draft, or traveler check? And you have to put how it was broken down into these different types of payment methods. Now, as you can see here, there's no crypto box, which is why if you receive $10,000 or more of digital assets, you can't actually fill out this form right now because there's no way, it doesn't say crypto anywhere. So you just can't really do that. If you receive it in $100 bills or higher, you have to go ahead and put that information there as well. But for our case, our example, we're just going to say we received the cash today. So 1/1/2024 to 1/8/2024, and I received 10,000. Oh, there we go. So it has to be in this valid format. Great. Okay, so 01/08/2024, and let's say I received $12,000 in cash, and I got it in an all currency. Okay, hopefully that works. Great. And you also have to describe the type of transaction. So there's a bunch of different, ways you can separate this. So is it bail? Was it escrowed? Or are you paying debt? Are you creating a loan? In our case, it's going to be simple. Business services provided. So I provided accounting services, and let's say somebody paid me $12,000 cash. Great. Now in part 4, you have to describe your own business, since again, the burden is on the person who's receiving $10,000 or more to complete this form. And so now I have to report on myself or report on HashBasis. So I put HashBasis as information here, our address, our EIN. I likely would put my social security number here. And then you'd have to sign this as well. Now there's also a comment section, which if you needed to clarify or add any comments, you could go ahead and do so and provide any information that you wanted to. Now, a couple of other notes on this form. One, it has to be completed within 15 days from the date that you receive the cash. If you complete it after 15 days, then there's going to be late penalties applied, and the penalties can be pretty severe if you willfully disregard the having to file this form. There could be criminal penalties as well. I think it's up to 5 years in jail, and for corporations, the penalty or the fine's up to $500,000. So it's quite steep, again, because the IRS and FinCEN are trying to prevent money laundering. Now, the second piece to know is that you have to keep track of all these Form 8300s that you are filing. You have to keep these on record for at least 5 years. And whoever you report on, so the individual or the company who actually paid you, you have to furnish them a statement by January 31st of the following year in which they provided you with $10,000 or more in cash. And you basically have to send them a statement saying, hey, I reported this transaction or this series of transactions on Form 8300. So you basically have to let them know that you filed it and that their information's on there, unless it's a suspicious transaction, in which case the IRS and FinCEN are like, no, don't tell them that we filed this, because that kind of gives them a heads up and defeats the point. So once all of this is filled out, then you just go ahead and save it, and then you have to sign with PIN. We're not actually going to do it since I haven't actually received anything $10,000 in cash, so I don't want to erroneously file. But hopefully that gives you some more information on how to actually file this. And the important takeaway for the crypto customers is that we don't have to file this just yet until we get updated guidance. Once we get guidance, yes, something will likely need to be filed. And so we'll definitely need to keep up with that. And at HashBasis, we can definitely help you do that. Okay, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you guys later.